Hello, Senior 3. Welcome to today's history lesson. My name is Ntubiro Godfrey, your history teacher, and we are working with my colleague, Mr. Buyinza John, and who is going to explain to our friends who learn by sign language. It is history. The topic is the First World War in East Africa. So during this lesson, we shall define the term World War. We shall try to find out what it means by World War. And then we shall name the major causes of the war. And finally, we shall discuss its impact on the people of East Africa. Before we start the lesson today, make sure you have a pen and a notebook where you will record your notes for personal reflection. You also need a pencil because you have to draw a map. Please, that tool is a pencil, not a pencil. You can look up the pronunciation on your mother's mobile phone or your father's mobile phone. You get the right pronunciation of this word. I think I know you have ever seen a fight. I know you have ever seen a fight. Whether you lie to me that you have never or not, I want to assure you, I know you have ever seen a fight before. At least you have ever seen cops fight. You have never seen people fight. And probably you have involved in a fight yourself. That was very bad for someone. Never do it again. Anyway, whatever the case, the fight you witnessed was probably between two people or two cocks. I've ever seen a cock myself fighting, attacking. I've ever seen. I don't know. It was fun anyway. It was funny, and it was. They fought, really. They did, and. Everybody was amused. So I believe you have ever seen a fight. At least you have seen lizards somewhere. On the top of the house fighting, or bats, something like that. Now, there was once a war. There was once a fight that involved more than two fighters. There were not 3. There were not 20. Actually, it was a fight that involved the whole world. Because the whole world was involved in this fight, it became known as the First World War. It was a global war. It broke out on the 28th of July, 1914, and ended on 11th November 1918. Sounds crazy. Not so? How on earth could the whole world find itself fighting? However, the usual fights are normally between the two fighters. Two people fighting. That is usual. Even in this case, the world divided itself into two groups. And the two groups fought each other for 4 years. These small fights you see of people and of cocks take about 10 minutes, 6, 3. This was a fight that took 4 years. What were these groups? We're talking about the two groups. How did they group themselves? Why did they group themselves? How did they group themselves? These and many other questions are our concern in this lesson today. The first group included Britain, France, Italy, Romania, and the United States. Then the second group included Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. Do you still remember those small fights at home when you were young? Children sometimes fight over very small, trivial things. Mother may ask, "Why did you slap him?" He sang my song. "Why did you spank your friend?" She sat on my chair. Similarly, World War I started as a small disagreement between two countries, and this sparked off such a great and historical war. Now, what was the one incident that sparked off the war? The immediate cause of World War I was the killing, or the assassination, or the murder of the Archduke of Austria. Formerly, Archduke referred to the son of the Emperor of Austria. Emperor is the leader of an empire. An empire comprises of kingdoms. Like you see, a country has districts. An empire has kingdoms as the smaller bits of it. So, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria had his last day in that season. Ferdinand of Austria and his pregnant wife, Sophie, were assassinated. The assassination was planned by a Serbian terrorist group. You know terrorists. If I told you to mention them, you know that there are many terrorists in the world. So many, Every day you hear of news concerning terrorists. It is not a new phenomenon in the world. They have been here for many years. Serbia had some terrorists there. Now, this killing we have seen was the major incident that sparked off the war. Now, apart from this incident, the killing of Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, what were the other causes of World War I? Now, one way to remember the four main causes of World War I is to remember the word main. Main. If you get the word main, then it will give you the first letters of each of the major cause of the war we call World War I. M is for militarism. A is for alliances. I is for imperialism. And N is for nationalism. Main, militarism, alliance, imperialism, and nationalism. Let's look at militarism in detail. Militarism was one of the four major causes of the war. Because Britain had a large navy, Germany wanted a large navy too. It was an arms race. Navy are military forces that fight on sea. Armies in Europe grew in size. Guns increased in number and size. Armies underwent frequent training. They therefore felt they had the power and might to engage in war. Why did they fight? Because they felt they had the capacity. They felt they would manage fighting. So the first cause of the war was militarism. The feeling of might and strength. I have this gun, I have this other one. Countries that time, Britain, Germany, had invented very strong guns. Now let's look at alliances. Alliances caused World War I. Alliances were agreements between countries. These were agreements that would bind them to support each other. I remember when I was young, I would easily, I had my big brother, and I would easily provoke a fight because I knew Emma would be around to do it for me. But of course, sometimes we would get into trouble. You see, you feel you have somebody who's going to protect you, so you easily provoke a war, fight, and sometimes things don't work very well. So, many of the countries were attacked, and they were attacked because others were supporting. The country would attack another country in anticipation of help from the country it made alliance with. The countries which were already in alliance before the war began included the following. Russia was in alliance with Serbia, Germany with Austria-Hungary, France was with Russia, Britain, France, Belgium. These were already in alliance. And therefore, these countries, each of these countries, felt they would get help from others and it forced them into a fight, into a war. So this cause is what we call alliances. That's the A. Another cause, imperialism, the I. Imperialism also caused the war. Imperialism is when a country expands its influence and power into a large empire. Some European countries, such as France and Britain, had created large worldwide empires and had become very rich. Other European countries, such as Russia and Germany, wanted to create their own vast empires. This caused the competition and conflict between many of the countries throughout the world. Let's look at nationalism. Nationalism. We are saying that nationalism also caused World War I. So the most direct way nationalism caused World War I was through the assassination of the Archduke of Austria, Franz Ferdinand, with his wife Sophie. Ferdinand was the heir waiting for the throne of Austro-Hungarian Empire, and he was killed. So many oppressed Slavic groups in the Austro-Hungarian Empire wanted to form independent and nation states. So they fought because of these serious causes. We have looked at the meaning of World War and its causes, and I'm sure you now understand them. Don't forget the word main: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. I said don't forget the word main. You can even write it down. Militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism as we go for more information. So, dear friend, let's now look at the impacts of World War I. What happened after this fight? The war, of course, led to many deaths in East Africa. The European colonial powers did not have enough manpower to participate in the First World War, and therefore recruited manpower from East Africa to boost their troops. The war brought every economic activity to a standstill. Agriculture, for instance, greatly declined. European plantations were abandoned in order to concentrate on the war fighting. Another impact was that African attitude towards the Europeans changed. At first, the Africans were taking Europeans in a completely different regard. The Africans became too critical this time after the war. The ex-servicemen, I mean those men that participated in the war and came back, those who didn't die in the battlefield, when they came back, they started demanding for power and representation in government. Remember, all the 3 East African countries then were under colonial rule. The politicians then were Europeans. They were the ones in the government and taking decisions for our people. So, the attitude of the Africans was changed after the war. I think when they were in the battlefield, they realized that even Europeans can die. They saw them die. At first, they looked like they were kind of immortal people. So this time, they saw them cry, they saw them running away, they saw them fighting and being defeated, and the Africans realized that if we start making our voice louder, these people are also human beings. So another important impact is there was increased exploitation of the Africans by the nationalists. East Africa provided many resources for the war effort. Not only were raw materials such as rubber, copper, and other minerals drawn from East Africa, but also tens of thousands of colonial troops were taken to the front line. So it was the exploitation of the highest order. So another impact probably is that ranks and medals were awarded to ex-soldiers, ex-servicemen, many of them here, including my grandfather, was given a medal. By the time he died, I had seen it in some very well-decorated courts with a lot of stars around them. And he would feel really very important. These are some of the things we call the ranks and the medals. They were also awarded some pieces of land, and that is it. These are the impacts of World War. So, my friends, as we conclude this lesson, we want to thank you so much for being part of today's lesson. Please remember to stay safe by washing your hands several times and staying at home. Be good to your parents. You have also got a chance to learn more about the home culture. There are so many things to learn at home. So keep at home, stay home. Don't go to those stations because you may get COVID and you take it back home to your sisters and your aging father. So please keep at home. God